Hello everybody, this is episode 19 and this is 5 ways to speed up your metabolism. Everybody, my name is Drake or NoBSNutirition. I make these podcasts that talk about metabolism, talk about nutrition, training, fitness stuff, etc. and we get into it. It's going to be a pretty quick one. So what is metabolism? Metabolism is divided into 3 to 4 ways. It can be mean by activity, how many calories you burn at rest. It can also mean how much food you eat. So if you eat a high protein diet, you're burning more calories. We know pretty much a lot about the metabolism, but it's so vast. Like these online calculators, for example, that estimate your metabolism is very not accurate, especially if you're, let's say if you're a kid, especially if you're an active adult, like you're doing 20 to 30,000 steps, compared to the underactive adult who's doing a similar amount of activity, but they have less muscle mass. So you have more muscle mass, so you can be burning more 3,000, 2,000 calories. So many things that the metabolism we really don't know about and we know about, and it's very vast. And we really want a good metabolism to go to the next subject. Why do you want a fast metabolism? The reason why we want fast metabolism now in this world, in this generation, is the amount of processed food. There's a lot of processed food that's low calorie dense. With all these low calorie dense foods is that you want to indulge and eat and enjoy, you want a speedy fast metabolism to actually not gain a lot of body fat. Especially if you take a woman who's only eating 2,000 calories, who has like a cup of wine, for example, or maybe a slice of pizza, she might feel like it's gonna stick on her. Then compared to the other female who's burning 3,000 calories, who has a glass of wine and a pizza, and she's perfectly okay. She doesn't feel like that converts to body fat. So it's very important to have a fast metabolism now, so you can actually indulge these foods. Before, it wasn't all these processed foods like 100 years ago. So it wasn't a lot of choices. Also, it wasn't a lot of food now. So having a speedy metabolism before would be detrimental compared to now. And also having a fast metabolism will help you burn more calories. That's probably a sign that you're active in general. So yeah. This is the first way to have a fast metabolism, is eat more whole foods. Eating more whole foods is a burning effect of it. Eating more foods of protein like meats and not just vegetables, just meat, will have a burning effect of energy, which you burn more calories overall, comparing having a processed food diet. If someone is eating 200 grams of protein, comparing someone who's eating the FDA approved 60 grams of protein, that person is burning way more calories in general than the person who is eating 60 grams of protein. And that will correlate to the amount of what food and what their diet is actually like. So if the person is eating 60 grams of protein, most likely they're not eating a lot of healthy foods. Most likely they're eating candies, processed food, burgers, things that have very low protein amounts, compared to the person who's eating 200 grams of protein to actually eating whole foods. And eating a lot of processed foods with protein is very difficult. You'd be shocked how difficult it is. And it's very difficult to eat mostly processed food but not hit your protein target compared to eating 200 grams of most whole foods. So that's one way. The second way is get better sleep and stress. Everyone knows sleep will regulate hormones. Sleep is the most important thing to actually produce losing fat or produce building more muscle mass. And we know if we build more muscle mass overall, that's a reflection of how our activity is or how many calories you're burning. Just because a study that says 1 pound of muscle is burning 80 calories, that will stack over time like an investment. So if you put $5 a day, 5 times 7, that's $35 a week. Multiply that by a year, and that's in the thousands. So it's about compound interest. And also, the metabolism is so fast that if you get a woman who's 130 pounds, who's doing all this activity, let's say 30,000 steps, who is strength training probably 5 times a day, might be burning 4,000 calories. It is possible, especially a young woman who's in her 20s. It is possible for that female to burn that many calories. So we just have to keep that in mind, that building more muscle and actually having better sleep will help us out, Joel. Stress is another factor. Stress is so important. If you have shitty stress, you're having more cortisol, and having more elevated cortisol consistently a result of high blood pressure. Having high blood pressure can have multiple things. There's a lot of factors to it. If you have a lot of mental stress, let's say, you're not gonna produce as much muscle as the other person who has less stress than you. And having more stress correlates having shitty sleep, or having a crappy diet also, or just having a bad mood in general. So you have to make sure having better stress is your second priority of sleep, or person first. Do extra activity like walking, swimming, sports, anything, bicycling. Doing the activity you want to do. You don't have to go on the treadmill to do your cardio. You can have 1 hour of the day in the morning, do whatever you want. So maybe play basketball by yourself, maybe shadow box for an hour, or possibly just go for a regular walk, or just go to a swimming pool. I have no idea. Do your cardio different ways that makes you feel better. For me, I love the treadmill. The treadmill is my favorite. I go to the gym, I go to the treadmill, then after I walk back to the house and I take a cold shower. I feel really good afterwards. Having good cortisol, good function of my body, and having less stress so I can actually perform better throughout my day. So do some activity. Balanced hormones. This correlates with sleep, nutrition. Sleep, stress, that's number 1. Nutrition, number 2. Number 3 is activity, and number 5 is honestly a muscle, or just how you feel in general. But those all correlate in the end. Having balanced hormones, without having balanced hormones, you really won't get anywhere. So the way we'll have unbalanced hormones is having shitty sleep. So if I get a person who has 6 hours of sleep compared to a person who has 10 or 9 hours of sleep, just they're the same everything. That person with 9 hours of sleep will produce better results than the person who has 6 hours of sleep, productively, mentally, physically, everything. And that will regulate his or her hormones to produce building more muscle or losing more body fat. So females out there who wants to lose more body fat will have that result. Men out there who wants to produce more muscle will have that result if their hormones are balanced. And without that, it's going to be very difficult. So if your nutrition is off, you won't have the best effect. But if your sleep is off, you really won't have the best effect. So you just have to really have accountability to see where you're at, to actually try to find a solution. And number 5, this is the last one. I'm going to rank these by sleep and stress, that's number 1. Nutrition is 3. Number 4 is actual hormones. And number 5 is training. Number 4 is a reflection of number 1 and 2. Number 5 is your meditation. Number 5 is not important if you don't have 1 and 2. If I have a client, her sleep is terrible and her nutrition is terrible, if I did have a client like that, then I will really focusing on her sleep. What can we do? How can we produce better sleep to actually balance our hormones? How can we produce better nutrition so we can eat a little more protein, be more satisfied, to actually produce some growth and stimulus? Because if you go in a gym with 6 hours of sleep and eating processed food, you're not going to grow as much or at all, or have more cause of injury than having, let's say, 9 hours of sleep. So you really need to make sure that your training is last. Your training is not the first priority. Okay? Strength training with proper programming. I would recommend MindPump. They have many programs. Also, they talk about more in detail stuff like this. So podcasts, they have like 2,000 podcasts about fitness and education. So go to them. Charge Strength, their programs is pretty much the 4 compound lifts, low bar squatting, conventional deadlifting, overhead press, and bench press. They're not powerlifters. They don't do the powerlifting stuff. They're really focused on depth, and it will make you strong overall. With starting strength, I would recommend doing mobility days, because you will get strong in that plane of motion, that up and down motion. So it's not like dynamic stuff like bodybuilding movements. So I would recommend to do mobility, or do like a sport activity that has a lot of dynamic movement so you don't lose that ability. With MindPump, they have so many vast programs. I don't know where to start from. They have like 15-minute programs that actually work. It's not like these hacky programs you see online. It actually works to build muscle. It's not like ab crunches that you go up and down. It's actually scientifically proven to build muscle, to see some result either way, and their service time is impeccable. It's very fast. I remember I returned a product because I want something else, They refunded me after 1 day, 2 days, very fast. Yeah, I just recommend MindPump, you know, and they have a lot of deals. So half percent off, 25% off. That's so many deals for you guys to get those programs. And these are 5 ways to speed up your metabolism. We talked about food, we talked about nutrition, we talked about balancing your hormones, we talked about sleep, recovery. That's another important aspect. So maybe you have to do foam rolling, mobility. We talk about all these stuff, and pretty much that's all. Like, I could probably think about another 5 ways, but what's gonna push the needle is really your sleep, your stress, your nutrition, and your hormones. You know, that's the reflection point, and then your training. Your training is very important. Without those 3 things, without those 5 things, no supplement, no life hack, nothing will work. And if it did work, you're not gonna get big. You're not gonna get, if you're a man, typically men, who wants to be 200 pounds, you know, who wants to bulk up to that level and get big, and without a lot of body fat, let's say 15 to 20% per se body fat, they're not gonna get big if their sleep is shit. They're not gonna get big if their nutrition is garbage and not eating enough, and they're not gonna get big if their strength is not actually adequately, like if their strength training is not giving them the stimulus to grow muscle mass. So you really need to focus on these 5 things to actually produce more results in the gym. Well, that's it for NoBSNutirition. Guys, please comment below. Give me some video ideas. I'm really liking some video ideas. After 21 videos, I'm gonna probably shorten the podcast. I'm gonna probably do 1 a week. So really give me some video ideas so I can, you know, feed off of you guys and share some ideas in the comments below. I do free nutrition coaching if you're interested. If you're not, then go to my Facebook group. I talk about fitness and education. It's free, of course, so you can go there. I'm doing my CPT 7 certificate, nutrition certificate. Pretty much I'm gonna be a personal trainer. So if you guys want some personal training in the future with me, make sure you go below in the description. And I'll be done probably in a week, probably 14 days. On June 14th to 15th, I'll probably get my certification when I pass, and that'll be all. Thank you. Bye.